Rowan stood in front of the large glass window of his skyscraper office, looking down at the bustling city below. The sun was setting, painting the sky with orange and purple colors. Today was important, very important. Rowan, a billionaire CEO of one of Earth's largest trading companies, was about to close a deal that could change everything. This was not just any deal. It was with the Chinese Space Coalition, a powerful group that controlled the new trade routes between Earth and the alien worlds they had recently contacted. The coalition's leaders had come to Earth to sign an agreement that would open doors for Rowan's company to enter the interstellar market. Rowan felt proud. Years of hard work, risky investments, and late nights had brought him to this moment. But now, standing inside the sleek boardroom, his heart was beating faster than usual. The room was filled with tense energy. At the long table sat the coalition's delegation, 5 serious-faced men and women dressed in elegant suits. They spoke quietly among themselves, their language unfamiliar to most people in the room, but clear through the Translator AI headset everyone wore. Rowan glanced at his assistant, Maya, who gave him a small, reassuring smile. Everything was ready. The Translator AI was connected, set to translate perfectly between English and Mandarin, the main language of the coalition. But suddenly, the Translator AI started to crackle and hiss. Then silence. Rowan's stomach twisted. The room fell quiet. "No," whispered Maya, biting her lip nervously. The Translator AI stopped working. A wave of panic spread across the boardroom. Rowan tried to stay calm. He stood up and raised his hand. "Please, everyone, remain calm. We will fix this immediately." The delegation members exchanged worried looks. One of them, a woman with sharp eyes, stood and spoke in fast Mandarin. No one understood her, but the tension in her voice was clear. Rowan tried to respond in English, but without the translator, his words were lost. The CEO's own staff looked confused. The technical team rushed to their consoles, fingers flying over keyboards, trying to reboot the AI system. But nothing worked. The connection was dead. Minutes passed, and the room grew colder with silence. The deal was in danger. Rowan's mind raced. How could he communicate? How could he convince these important people to trust him when they could not understand a single word? He looked around helplessly. At the corner of the room, quietly moving between the chairs and cleaning the floor, was Mira. She had worked in Rowan's company as a maid for nearly a year. She was young, with calm eyes and a soft smile. Most people rarely noticed her. Today, Mira wore her usual simple uniform and carried a small cleaning cloth. She paused for a moment, sensing the tension. Something inside her stirred. Suddenly, without warning, Mira spoke. Her voice was calm, confident, and clear. "Ni hao. Wxia bang nemen." "Hello. I can help you." The room went still. Rowan and everyone turned toward her. The delegation's members looked surprised. One man raised his eyebrows in disbelief. Mira continued, switching smoothly into perfect Mandarin. Not just simple Mandarin, but with the soft tones and expressions of someone who had spent years living among native speakers. She spoke with care, translating Rowan's nervous English words into clear, respectful sentences. Then, she translated the coalition's questions back into English for Rowan. Rowan's mouth fell open. He could hardly believe what he was hearing. "How do you know this language?" he asked quietly, stepping closer. Mira smiled shyly, but did not stop translating. Minutes later, the meeting resumed with a new energy. The delegation relaxed, nodding and smiling as Mira spoke for Rowan. The deal was no longer at risk. Rowan watched Mira closely, amazed. She had saved the meeting. When the discussions ended, Rowan called Mira aside. "Tell me everything," he said quietly. Mira looked down for a moment, then slowly began to explain. She was not just a maid. She was born on a small space station near the outer edges of the Chinese Space Coalition's trade routes. As a child, she had lived among traders, miners, and refugees from many different planets and cultures. She learned many languages by listening and practicing. Mandarin was the main language on the station, so she became fluent. She also learned how to speak with alien partners, understanding their tone and style. But Mira kept the secret. No one on Earth knew her story. She worked quietly, hoping to have a normal life. Rowan realized Mira was more than a simple maid. She was a living bridge between two worlds. After the meeting, Rowan's mind was full of questions. Why had no one told him about Mira's abilities before? How many other secrets were hidden in the people around him? He thought about the power of language, not just words, but connection and trust. Rowan knew that from now on, things would be different. His company would depend not only on technology, but also on people like Mira, people with real knowledge and courage. As the sky darkened outside the office window, Rowan made a silent promise. He would protect Mira and use her unique gift to help Earth grow stronger in the galaxy. The first step was clear. He would find a way to make sure Mira never felt invisible again. The next morning, the city buzzed with energy, but inside the sleek glass tower where Rowan's company was based, a quieter tension still lingered. The trade deal had been saved yesterday, thanks to Mira's sudden voice, but Rowan could not stop thinking about what had happened. How had Mira learned such a rare language? How much did she really know? Rowan sat in his office, staring at the communication screen. His assistant, Maya, was busy arranging meetings and calls, but Rowan was distracted. The boardroom had been packed with powerful people yesterday, all eyes on him, and now it was Mira's voice that had stolen the spotlight. He looked around. The office was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Then, without warning, there was a knock on the door. Mira entered quietly, holding a small tray of coffee and snacks. Rowan smiled and motioned for her to sit. "Thank you for yesterday," he said. "You saved the deal." Mira looked down and nodded. "I'm glad I could help." Rowan leaned forward. "You must tell me everything. How did you learn to speak Mandarin so well? In that alien dialect?" Mira took a deep breath. "I was born on a space station called Jingsing 7, she began. "It's near the edge of the Coalition's trade routes. My parents worked there as engineers. When I was small, the station was full of traders from Earth and many other planets. They spoke many languages, but mostly Mandarin because it was the common tongue." She paused, eyes distant. "I listened a lot. I learned to understand the different voices, even those from aliens. They have a way of speaking that is different from humans. I tried to copy it." Rowan's eyes widened. "That's incredible. You must have spent years there." Mira nodded. "Yes, until the station was closed down. We had to come back to Earth. That's when I started working here." Rowan realized how much Mira had hidden. No one had ever asked her about her past. Suddenly, his phone beeped. A message from one of his contacts in the Coalition. "They want to meet you again," it read. Rowan looked up at Mira. "The delegation wants another meeting tomorrow. This time, without any technical problems, I hope." Mira smiled softly. "I will be there." The next day, the boardroom was filled again. This time, the translator AI worked perfectly, but Rowan noticed the Coalition members watching Mira closely. It was as if they already knew her secret. The meeting started smoothly. Rowan and the Coalition leaders discussed trade routes, technology sharing, and new business opportunities. But midway, the lead delegate spoke directly to Rowan. "We are curious about your translator," she said in English. "She understands us deeply." Rowan smiled, proud. "Yes, Mira is our new asset." But the delegate's eyes were sharp. "We know more than you think." The room grew tense again. After the meeting, Rowan pulled Mira aside. "What did they mean?" he asked. Mira looked worried. "The Coalition is testing us. They want to see if Earth is ready to join them as equals." Rowan frowned. "And if they don't think we are, they might cut off trade. Or worse," Mira said quietly. Rowan clenched his fists. "We can't let that happen." Later that evening, Rowan and Mira walked through the company's hallways. Rowan felt a new respect for Mira. She was not just a maid or translator. She was a key to Earth's future. "Mira," he said, "I want you to work with me directly. You will help me understand the Coalition and their ways." Mira smiled but hesitated. "I don't want to be a target, Rowan. Some people will not like that. I know their secrets." Rowan put a hand on her shoulder. "I will protect you." Together, we will make Earth stronger. Mira nodded, hope shining in her eyes. The next weeks passed quickly. Mira attended meetings, helped with translations, and shared stories about the coalition's culture. Rowan's company began to grow, gaining respect in the galactic market. But not everyone was happy. One day, Rowan's old rival, Mr. Klein, approached him in a private room. "I hear your new translator is quite special," Klein said with a smirk. "If I were you, I would be careful. Secrets like hers can be dangerous." Rowan stared. "What do you mean?" Klein leaned in. "The coalition watches closely. If they find out she knows too much, trouble will come." Rowan didn't answer. He was already thinking about how to keep Mira safe. That night, Mira sat alone in her small apartment, looking at the stars through the window. She remembered her childhood on Ginseng 7, the sounds, the voices, the friendships. Suddenly, her comm beeped. It was a message from an unknown sender. "We know who you are. Stay hidden." Mira's heart raced. She quickly erased the message. Tomorrow, her life might change forever. The next morning, Rowan arrived at the office to find security guards watching Mira's apartment entrance. "They are here," he said quietly to Maya, his assistant. Rowan made a decision. "We cannot wait. We have to act now." He called Mira. "We will protect you," he promised. Together, they prepared to face the dangers ahead. In the vastness of space, trust was rare and knowledge was power. Rowan and Mira had both found something precious each other, and this was only the beginning. The morning sun poured through the tall windows of Rowan's office, but the light did little to ease the heavy feeling in the room. Rowan sat behind his desk, staring at the data screen, his company's future and perhaps Earth's place in the galaxy was now tied to a young woman no one had noticed before. Mira sat quietly nearby, watching Rowan's face. The message she had received last night lingered in her mind. Someone was watching her. Someone knew her past. Rowan could see the worry in her eyes. "We need to talk," Rowan said. Breaking the silence, Mira nodded, and together they moved to a small conference room, away from the busy offices and curious ears. "Tell me everything you can," Rowan asked, his voice low but serious. "About your time on Ginseng 7, about the languages, the aliens, the secrets you mentioned." Mira took a deep breath. Ginseng 7 was a small space station, she began, far from Earth, near the borders of the Chinese Space Coalition's territory. It was a place where traders, miners, and travelers from many planets stopped. The station was like a small city in space. She looked down, remembering. "My parents worked as engineers there. I was a child, but I learned fast. I listened to every conversation I could. The traders spoke Mandarin mostly, but they also spoke other languages, some human, some alien." Rowan leaned forward. "Alien languages, yes," Mira said quietly. "The aliens have sounds and tones that humans do not have. But they also have feelings in their words. If you listen carefully, you can understand more than just words. You understand what they want, what they feel." Rowan was impressed. "That's incredible. You must have had a special gift." Mira shook her head. "No gift, just many years of listening and practicing." Rowan thought for a moment. "What secrets did you say you carry?" Mira's eyes grew serious. "On Ginseng 7, I found out about secret trade routes. Routes that the coalition does not want everyone to know about. These routes are faster and safer, but hidden from the public." Rowan's heart beat faster. "That could change everything." "Yes," Mira said. "I also learned about unregistered technology machines and tools that are not approved by the coalition but are very powerful." Rowan sat back, stunned. "Why did you keep this from me?" Mira's voice was soft but firm. "I was afraid that if people knew, I would be treated differently. I wanted to live a normal life." Rowan smiled gently. "You don't have to hide anymore." Suddenly, his phone beeped with a secure message. Rowan opened it. It was from his closest advisor. "We have a problem. Someone leaked information about Mira to the coalition." Rowan's face turned cold. "They know." In the following days, Rowan's office became a center of quiet but urgent activity. Security was increased. Mira's movements were tracked, and her meetings were closely guarded. Mira felt the pressure building. People were watching her every move. One afternoon, Rowan called a meeting with his trusted team. "We have to prepare," he said. "If the coalition wants Mira, they will come for her. We need to protect her and use her knowledge wisely." One of Rowan's team, a young tech specialist named Leon, nodded. "We can create a secure communication network for her and set up safe zones around the city." Rowan smiled. "Good. And we must be ready to negotiate if necessary?" Mira listened quietly, feeling a mix of fear and hope. She knew her life was no longer simple. That night, Mira sat in Rowan's office. The city lights sparkled below, but she felt far from safe. Rowan sat beside her. "Tell me more about the coalition's tests. What do they want from you?" Mira sighed. "The coalition wants to know if Earth is ready to join their network. As equals, they watch our leaders closely. If they think we are weak, they will keep us out." Rowan's eyes narrowed. "And if they think you're a threat, they might try to take me away." Mira said quietly, "To keep their secrets safe." Rowan felt a sudden surge of protectiveness. "I won't let that happen." Mira smiled faintly. "Thank you." Days later, Rowan received an unexpected visitor, a representative from the coalition's council. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes and an expression that made clear she was used to getting what she wanted. "I have come to discuss Mira," she said simply. Rowan stood to greet her. "Please, sit." The woman smiled coldly. "Your translator has knowledge we consider sensitive. We want to ensure she is loyal." Rowan met her gaze. "Mira has helped build trust between us. She is loyal to Earth." The woman's smile faded. "Loyalty is a matter of perspective. We will be watching closely." After the visitor left, Rowan turned to Mira. "This is serious. The coalition does not joke about secrets." Mira nodded. "I understand." That night, Rowan made a decision. He would bring Mira into the heart of his company's plans. "Mira," he said, "you will no longer work in the shadows. I want you with me, helping to make decisions and shaping Earth's future in space." Mira was surprised but honored. "I will do my best." Rowan smiled. "Together, we will face whatever comes." The next day, as Mira started her new role, Rowan's rival, Mr. Klein, watched from a distance. He had heard the rumors and was already planning his next move. Mira was no longer just a maid. She was a key player in a game much bigger than anyone had imagined. Outside the city, the stars shone bright in the silence of space. The future of Earth was being written not just by billionaires or politicians, but by those brave enough to speak unexpected truths. The sun had barely risen when Rowan stepped into the quiet conference room. The morning air was cool and still, but inside, the tension was anything but calm. The boardroom held more than just business deals. Now it held secrets that could change the future of Earth and the galaxy. Rowan glanced at Mira, who sat calmly but alert. Her sharp eyes scanned the data on the screen, showing maps of trade routes, some well-known, others hidden. "Tell me again about these secret routes," Rowan said. "I want to understand exactly what you know." Mira nodded and tapped a point on the holographic map. "These routes are used by traders and smugglers alike. The coalition tries to keep them hidden because they bypass official checkpoints. They are faster and sometimes safer, but they are also risky." Rowan frowned. "Risky how?" "Pirates." Mira explained. "Some routes run near areas controlled by hostile groups who attack travelers. Others pass close to unstable planets with dangerous weather or radiation." Rowan studied the map carefully. "If we can control these routes, we could save time and resources. But if the coalition finds out, they won't be happy." Mira looked at him seriously. "They already know about me. I am not safe." Rowan felt a weight in his chest. Protecting Mira was no longer just about business, it was about survival. The day passed quickly, filled with meetings and preparations. Rowan's company began strengthening its security protocols, and Mira helped coordinate with trusted contacts from the coalition and other factions. But trouble was coming faster than they expected. Late that evening, a secure message arrived. "For Rowan, your rival is planning to use Mira's knowledge against you. Be careful." Rowan frowned deeply. His rival, Mr. Klein, was always looking for ways to gain advantage. If he found out about Mira's secret knowledge, the consequences could be severe. Rowan called his team together. "We have to move quickly," he said. "We cannot let Klein or the coalition use Mira's knowledge to destroy us." Maya, Rowan's assistant, nodded. "I will start arranging safe houses and secure communication channels." Leon, the tech specialist, added, "We can also create false information to confuse anyone spying on us." Rowan smiled slightly. "Good. We need every advantage we can get." Meanwhile, Mira sat in a quiet room, reviewing data from her time on Ginseng 7. She thought about her childhood, the friends she had lost, the dangers she had survived. Suddenly, a sharp knock interrupted her thoughts. Rowan entered quietly. "We need to talk," he said. Mira looked up. "What is it?" Rowan took a deep breath. "I have been thinking. Your knowledge is a gift, but it could also be a curse. If the coalition or Klein come after you, we need a plan." Mira nodded slowly. "I agree. But what can we do?" Rowan smiled, a new determination in his eyes. "We will use your knowledge to form alliances, not just with the coalition, but with others who want peace and fair trade." Mira raised an eyebrow. "You mean working with some of the smugglers and pirates?" Rowan chuckled. "Not exactly. More like those who are tired of the coalition's control. People who want freedom." Mira smiled. "That could work." The next day, Rowan and Mira met with a group of trusted traders and pilots. They were a rough but honest group, familiar with the hidden routes and dangers. One of the pilots, a tall man named Yarek, spoke first. "You want us to help your company? That's a big risk." Rowan nodded. "I know. But with Mira's knowledge, we can all benefit. We can create safer paths and open new markets." Yarek looked at Mira. "And you? Why trust us?" Mira met his gaze steadily. "Because I have nowhere else to turn." The group agreed to work together, forming a small alliance outside the coalition's control. Back at the company, tensions rose as news spread about the secret alliance. Some employees questioned Rowan's decisions. In a heated meeting, one board member said, "You are risking everything by trusting criminals." Rowan stood firm. "Sometimes the greatest risks bring the greatest rewards. We cannot win by following the rules set by others. We must create our own path." Mira watched silently. She knew Rowan was right. Earth's future depended on courage and bold choices. Days later, Rowan received an urgent message. The coalition had sent envoys to investigate rumors about the alliance. "They are coming," Rowan said grimly. Mira nodded. "We must prepare." They worked through the night, strengthening defenses and planning how to present their case to the envoys. When the envoys arrived, the atmosphere was tense. The coalition representatives were cold and demanding. "We know about your secret alliance." The lead envoy said, "Explain yourselves." Rowan stepped forward. "We are working for peace and fair trade. The coalition's control is too tight, and many are left out. We want to include everyone." The envoy frowned. "You are breaking the rules." Mira spoke quietly but firmly. "The rules keep some voices silent. We want to change that." The envoy looked at Rowan and Mira carefully. After a long pause, she spoke. "We will allow this alliance to continue for now, but we will watch closely." Rowan felt a mixture of relief and worry. Mira smiled. "This is just the beginning." As the envoys left, Rowan turned to Mira. "You have changed everything," he said. Mira looked at him, a quiet strength in her eyes. "We changed the future together." Outside the city, the stars shone brighter than ever. In the vast silence of space, new paths were opening, paths not controlled by old powers, but by those brave enough to take the first step. And Rowan and Mira were leading the way. The city lights shimmered through the rain-streaked windows of Rowan's office. Outside, the night was alive with activity, but inside, a quiet storm was brewing. Rowan sat at his desk, staring at a message that made his heart race. "Your secret alliance is no longer safe. Someone has leaked Mira's past to the coalition. They are coming for her." Rowan's face tightened. He looked up as Mira entered the room. Her calm eyes betrayed a shadow of worry. "We must act fast," Rowan said firmly. "They will try to capture you." Mira nodded. I feared this day would come. Rowan stood, pacing. We need to move you somewhere safe, away from the city, away from their reach. Mira's voice was steady, but serious. I know a place. An old orbital station near the edge of Coalition space. It's where I grew up. It's abandoned but hidden. It might be the only place safe enough. Rowan's eyes widened. You're sure? Yes, Mira replied. But we must leave immediately. The following night, under the cover of darkness, Rowan and Mira slipped through the city. The streets were quiet, but the feeling of being watched was strong. They reached the private hangar where a small ship waited. Rowan's trusted pilot, Yarek, was already there, ready to help. Are you sure about this plan? Yarek asked, glancing at Mira. She nodded. It's our best chance. The ship lifted off smoothly, cutting through the clouds and heading toward the stars. As they traveled, Rowan studied the stars outside the window. Mira sat silently, her eyes fixed on the distant planets. Suddenly, an alert sounded on the ship's console. Pursuers detected, Yarek said, his voice tense. Rowan frowned. How fast are they? Yarek checked the controls, closing in. Quickly. Coalition ships. Mira's face hardened. They won't stop until they have me. Rowan gripped the armrest. Then we won't give them the chance. Yarek expertly maneuvered the ship through asteroid fields and debris, trying to lose the pursuers. The tension inside the small cabin was thick. Can we outrun them? Rowan asked. Yarek shook his head. Not for long. Their ships are faster. Mira closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, she looked determined. I know a secret path through the asteroid belt, she said. It's dangerous, but it could save us. Rowan nodded. Lead the way. The ship darted into the narrow, twisting gaps between massive rocks. The pursuers followed, but struggled to keep pace. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. We hit something, Yarek shouted. Rowan grabbed a handhold as alarms blared. Mira leaned over the controls, steadying the ship. Hold on. We're almost through. After tense moments, the ship burst out of the asteroid field into open space. The pursuers were behind them, slowed by the debris. Rowan exhaled deeply. Good work, Mira. But safety was still far away. Mira's station was old and not well equipped for visitors. They would need to be careful. As they approached the orbital station, shadows of its broken structure loomed against the blackness of space. Yarek docked the ship carefully. Rowan and Mira stepped inside the station's cold corridors. The silence was heavy. This place hasn't seen visitors in years, Mira said softly. Rowan looked around. The station was dark, with only emergency lights flickering. We'll make it safe, Rowan promised. Days passed quietly as Rowan and Mira worked to secure the station. They repaired communications and set up defenses. But the fear of discovery was always present. One evening, as Mira walked near the observation deck, she spotted a faint glow in the distance. Someone is coming, she whispered. Rowan joined her quickly. They found us, he said grimly. The next hours were a race against time. Rowan and Mira prepared for an attack, using the station's old defenses and their own technology. They set traps and alarms. When the coalition ships arrived, Rowan and Mira were ready. The battle was tense but brief. The attackers were surprised by the resistance and quickly retreated. Rowan smiled grimly. We held them off. Mira nodded. For now, after the attack, Rowan and Mira sat together in the quiet control room. We can't stay here forever, Rowan said. We need a plan to end this. Mira looked out at the stars. We must face the coalition, not run from them, Rowan agreed. Then it's time to show them that Earth won't be pushed around. In the vast darkness of space, Rowan and Mira prepared for the next chapter, one where courage and unity would decide the future. The abandoned orbital station hung silently in space, a ghost of a once busy hub. Its cold metal walls were scratched and worn, but inside, Rowan and Mira prepared for what might be their last stand. The coalition ships would return, and this time, they would not leave without answers. Rowan stood at the station's control panel, eyes fixed on the incoming ship signals. The display showed several vessels approaching fast, larger, better armed than before. He felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on his shoulders. Mira joined him quietly. her expression calm but determined. "We cannot fight forever," she said softly. "No," Rowan replied. "We have to make them listen." In the main hall, they gathered their small team: Yarek, the skilled pilot; Leon, the tech specialist; and Maya, Rowan's loyal assistant. Everyone knew what was at stake. Rowan addressed them. "The Coalition wants Mira because of her knowledge. But we can't let fear control us. This is about Earth's future, about respect and fairness in the galaxy." Mira nodded. "I will speak with them. Maybe they will listen." The team prepared the station's communication systems for a direct link to the Coalition's leaders. Rowan and Mira hoped to avoid another fight if possible. Minutes later, the Coalition ships entered orbit around the station. The silence was tense as the communications panel beeped. A voice came through, clear and cold. "This is Commander Wei of the Chinese Space Coalition. Surrender Mira immediately." Rowan took a deep breath and stepped forward. "We will not surrender her," he said firmly. "But we are willing to talk." Mira's voice followed, calm and steady. "I have knowledge that can help both Earth and the Coalition. The secret routes and technologies I know can bring peace and prosperity, not conflict." Commander Wei's voice was skeptical. "How do we know you are not a threat?" "Because I want cooperation," Mira replied. "Not war," Rowan added. "The Coalition's strict control is pushing many away. We want a partnership based on trust and fairness." There was a long pause. Then Commander Wei spoke again. "We will send envoys to meet you. You have one chance to prove your intentions." The envoys arrived on the station shortly after. They were not as cold as the commanders, more curious, even cautious. Rowan and Mira showed them the maps and data they had gathered. "We want to share these routes openly," Rowan explained, "to create safer, faster trade for everyone." One envoy, a woman named Lin, studied the information closely. "This is valuable," she admitted, "but it breaks many Coalition rules." Mira nodded. "Rules are important, but they should not stop progress or fairness." The talks continued for hours. Rowan and Mira answered questions and listened carefully, slowly. The envoys began to understand Earth's position and Mira's true intentions. After the meeting, Lin approached Mira privately. "You speak for many who want change," Lin said softly. "Your courage is rare." Mira smiled. "Thank you. I only want a better future." As the talks ended, Rowan and Mira gathered their team. "We have made progress," Rowan said. "But this is just the beginning. The Coalition will watch us closely." Maya nodded. "We must stay ready." Yarek smiled. "Whatever comes, we face it together." Days later, the Coalition granted limited access for Earth's traders along some of the secret routes. It was a small victory, but a powerful symbol. Rowan stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Mira joined him silently. "We did it," Rowan said quietly. Mira smiled softly. "Together, in the quiet of space." New alliances were born not through force, but through understanding and courage. And for the first time, Earth was no longer just a small player. It was part of something greater. The light of distant stars filled the observation deck as Rowan and Mira stood side by side, looking out into the vastness of space. Below them, the Earth gleamed like a blue gem, fragile yet full of promise. The journey they had traveled was long and hard, but finally, a new chapter was beginning, not just for them, but for all of humanity. Rowan turned to Mira, his eyes filled with quiet pride. "You've changed everything. I never imagined that a quiet maid could be the key to Earth's future." Mira smiled softly, her voice steady but warm. "I never wanted to be a key. I just wanted to be heard." Rowan nodded. "And now, the Coalition listens." The past months had been a whirlwind. The fragile truce with the Coalition had held, opening new trade routes that had once been closed to Earth. Mira's knowledge of hidden paths and unregistered technology had become an asset not just to Rowan's company but to the entire planet. But more than that, she had become Earth's unexpected ambassador, a bridge between worlds. The news spread quickly across Earth and beyond. People were inspired by the story of a young woman who had turned the tide with courage and intelligence. In the corporate offices below the observation deck, Rowan's company thrived like never before. New contracts poured in, and Earth's traders moved goods across the stars with increasing speed and safety. Rowan was busy with meetings and plans, but he always made time for Mira. One afternoon, as they reviewed reports together, Rowan said, "Have you ever thought about what comes next?" Mira looked up, thoughtful. "There's so much to do. But first, we must ensure that this alliance lasts. Trust must grow, and fairness must guide us," Rowan agreed. "We'll need more people like you, people who understand both worlds." Meanwhile, Mira had begun training a small team of translators and negotiators. They came from diverse backgrounds, some from Earth, others from colonies and distant planets. She taught them not just language, but the art of listening and understanding. Her goal was clear: to create a network of peace and cooperation that could stand against any threat. One evening, Rowan received a message from the Coalition Council inviting him and Mira to attend a special summit on the capital planet. "This is a great honor," Rowan said as he shared the news with Mira. She smiled. "It is the chance to show that Earth is ready to be a true partner." The journey to the capital planet was long, but it was filled with excitement and hope. As they landed, they were greeted by dignitaries from many species and cultures. The summit was a gathering unlike any before, a place where differences were celebrated and future plans made. Rowan and Mira spoke before the assembly, sharing Earth's story and the lessons they had learned. Mira's voice carried across the hall. "In the vastness of space, no one can stand alone. Only together can we build a future where all voices are heard and all lives matter." The crowd responded with applause and approval. After the summit, Rowan and Mira walked through the beautiful gardens of the capital planet. The air was filled with strange but pleasant scents, and the sky glowed softly with twin suns. Rowan turned to Mira. "Do you ever think about your old home, the station where you grew up?" Mira nodded. "Sometimes. It was a hard place, but it taught me many things, mostly that hope can grow in the darkest places." Rowan smiled. "You bring that hope with you." Back on Earth, life was changing. The people had new opportunities, new dreams, and a new place in the galaxy. Trade grew, cultures mixed, and friendships formed. Mira continued her work as a translator and ambassador. Rowan led his company into new ventures that respected fairness and unity. Together, they showed that even the smallest voices could change the course of history. As the stars shone bright, Rowan and Mira looked toward the future, ready for whatever challenges and adventures lay ahead, because in the end, the greatest power was not in technology or wealth, it was in understanding, courage, and the will to build bridges where none existed before.